Good day, everyone. This is Yuya, Assaan-ANU, bringing you the Foundational Fridays experience on the Enlightenment and Transformation channel. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. Even though today is a very interesting one, we just came off of our 12-12-12 experience, and I would say for all of us listening, this will be the last time in our physical existence that we'll see a date repeated like that. So it's kind of an interesting time to really be going through again that gateway of the 12s again. Today also we had a mass killing at an elementary school in Connecticut, up here in the Northeast, where it's reported that between 24 and 26 elementary students were killed by or wounded by a 20-year-old gunman who went into the school with 2 9mm and just let off shots. And I mention this because it's really time for people to seriously consider homeschooling. For those of you who know me, I've been advocating that for a very long time. And with my own child, she was homeschooled by me. I actually established a school around her. It's a very important thing to be educated within a home environment, but also to be educated amongst those who you love and who love you. Things are changing rapidly, and though we speak about the spiritual shift that comes with this new 2012 reality and this 2012 ascension, keep in mind that for anything to ascend or to be born out of something else, typically there is a fermentation of that thing. There is a rotting, there's a molding, there's a complete decomposing of that thing. So as we all look forward and look ahead to becoming these great gods and goddesses that we read about and we meditate on and we speak to, just be mindful of the fact that as you become the gods and goddesses of the universe, that the humanity has to die. So you're going to see some very inhumane things occurring in the world as a result of this ascension, and it's a part of that balancing that occurs. So just a few days ago, we had a young man go into a Portland, Oregon mall and shot it up, and he killed 2 people. And even the reports that came out, they were saying that, well, it's not as bad as it could have been, and they were thankful for that. And I don't know, it sounds kind of cold, if you were one who got killed or you were related to those 2 people who were executed on that day. And again, like I said, today, which is Friday, just a few days after that shooting, those killings, now we have another set of killings, with 2 states away from where I'm at, an hour drive. So things are changing quickly. Oh, and also we had the execution last week or this week of the man down in Manhattan who was shot in the back of the head. So I'm not here to regurgitate news reports, and if you notice, I typically don't talk too much about current world, social, or local events, and I do that purposely. But I think it's pertinent and it's apt to really bring these instances and these occurrences up for you to understand the decline of humanity that's currently going on right now and how you need to respond. The more humanity loses itself and falls into a collective crazy, the more you have to fall into that magical realm where you're really pulling from all these power entities and you're becoming the great power that you keep imagining. We're not really in a time anymore where you have 5, 10, 15 years to study an entity or study one entity or be crowned with an Orisha and then spend the rest of your time learning that Orisha. It's time out for that. You have to see now how humanity has reached an all-time low, and it's going to get even lower. It continues to break its record. generation after generation. It's going to keep on breaking its record. So the more it breaks its record and sinks into the fermentation and the rotting of its own deeds, the more you have to go into the ascension and the light of your own glory. Okay? And that glory coming through the acquisition of knowledge and applying that knowledge so that you can sharpen, enhance, and cultivate your pineal or your third eye or first eye awareness, which we know this show is about. And I like to do the movie breakdowns to a degree, and I'm not really going to do a full decoding like I've done in the past with you. I'm just going to show you some points, and of course you can go and check it out for yourself. And we can look at the Disney piece, which came out in '92, so about 20 years ago now. But I would urge you to actually read the Alladin story from 1001 Arabian Nights. And the reason being is that because the original story is much different than the movie. You know, you could do both. And like I said, I also recommended The Thief of Baghdad that came out in 1940. And I'm going to also recommend The Thief of Baghdad that came out in 1961, which is a bit of a different story, but it's really good because it covers some of what was left out in the 1940 version. So you should watch, definitely watch both of them and get the full information on that Djinn energy, which is what we were covering last time. Now, when we're dealing with Alladin, let's first, as I always tell you, when we're decoding, you want to look at the names of characters. And in Alladin, we have the word Djinn, which we also hear a lot of people here in the West, as far as people who are living the culture of Islam, we hear them say the word Deen. You hear them say, I'm on my Deen right now. I'm on my Deen. And a Deen is your path or your methodology or your way to righteousness or to Allah. So when someone says they're on their Deen, they're saying, I'm following the tenets of my culture, because Islam is a culture. Islam is not a religion. So if I'm following the path and the culture of my way of enlightenment and how I bring my soul into order, then I'm getting myself closer to my deity, which we know to be Allah in Islamic faith. And the word Deen, or that concept Deen, is not exclusive to Islam. Even in the Torah, we have Jegna, which you can find in the Kabbalistic systems. And it pretty much means the same thing. It's dealing with faith. A lot of times you'll see Deen translated as religion, but Deen is not actually religion. People just use that, you know, as a way to really quickly define it, you know, in a Western sense. But Deen is living the culture. So we also have, when we look at the word Deen or Dain, we have a similarity with the word Tao. Now, Tao, we know, for anyone who studied the Tao traditions, and usually we see that spelled T-A-O. So people will say Tao, but it's, or the Te, I've heard people say, but it's actually Tao. But it's okay, you know, if you mispronounce it. In Tao, means the way. So again, we have the way or the pathways to enlightenment and ascension. But more importantly, when we're dealing with the way, we're dealing with the way or the pathway to your first eye unveiling or your first eye unmasking, which we'll get into what that actually means. So in this story of Alladin, right, we have Alladin, and he, in the original story, and I covered this in a previous broadcast. I think it was the Eshu broadcast where I got into that Alladin energy and the story of Alladin. But, you know, real quickly, we know with Alladin in the original story, first he had a ring. He was tricked by a sorceress, he and his mother, to go into this cave to retrieve this lamp. And he went and he retrieved it. And he realized the sorcerer tricked him, but he had also found this ring which had a smaller genie in it, and that genie helped him to get out, and he got out with the lamp. Now, when he polished the lamp, we all know the story. The genie emerges from the lamp, and he grants him 3 wishes. And his first wish was to be a prince, in that he became Prince Ali. Now, Ali is a name that means exalted. Very important name, especially now when we're dealing with a lot of this 2012 information, because everyone's walking around talking about aliens. And whenever you see the word alien, aliens do exist, because it comes from Alladin, Alian. And An, as we know, is the Anunnaki or the Anu. So when someone says alien or Elian, they're talking about the exalted ones from heaven. Anu means the people from heaven, or the shiny ones. And Ali means exalted. Okay, so aliens do exist. How do we know? Because you're the alien. You are the exalted one that fell from heaven. How do we know you're the exalted one that fell from heaven? Well, we're going to get into this when we talk about the actual lamp. Now, the lamp itself, let's look at the word. It's an old French word, but it also has Latin roots, and you can look up the etymology of the word lamp, but it means a torch or a beacon, a vessel of light. It could also mean the plural for lights. It means to shine. It also means to hold flame. And it also is a word for meteor. So lamp also means meteor. I want you to remember that. Remember, write that one down like we did last time. I gave you some stuff to write down. Okay, so we have Alladin, and he has this lamp. He rubs this lamp, right? And when he rubs the lamp, we see this blue genie that comes out. Now, we had some answers on what does blue represent. Blue represents melanin. Blue represents enlightenment. So when you see blue in cartoons, or anything else like that, we're dealing with one who has ascended enlightenment through the use of activated melanin. Very important, because the lamp, we're going to see what that also represents. Now, let's take a look at Luke 11:33 in whatever Bible form you have. It's cool. Now, Luke 11:33 says, "No man, when he hath lighted a candle, putteth it in a secret place, neither under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that they which come in may see the light. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness. Take heed, therefore, that the light which is in thee be not darkness. If thy whole body therefore be full of light, having no part dark, the whole shall be full of light, as when the bright shining of a candle doth give thee light." That came out of Luke 11:33. And when we look at the name Luke, it's said to derive from the name Lucas. This name actually means light. So Luke is light. So now, a very interesting aspect to that scripture is this. When we look at when it says, "Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness." Well, why would single be the antonym for evil? You would think it would say, "Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy body is full of light. And when thine eye is double or multiplied, thy body is full of darkness." So we're talking about a single eye. This is important. But what is the evil eye? What is the evil eye? The evil eye would be the eyes, or the eye, before I give it away, the eye that falls for the illusion of the materialism. Remember that Satan is the god of materialism. The single eye, which is the first eye, or the pineal, is the eye that sees the truth, the underlying reality in all things. That is the real eye. That is the lamp of the body. That is the light. That is your sun. That is your torch that you are carrying. Your body happens to be the candlestick. So the purpose in when you're lighting a candle is to experience, and as it says, be bright shining of a candle that doth give light. The important part is the flame of the candle, not the stick itself. But we put too much focus on the stick, the body holding it, which holds the evil eyes. Those are the flesh eyes that only see the three-dimensional reality. So this light that they're speaking about in this actual scripture, they're talking about the pineal, or the first eye. This is the eye, again, as we got through in part 1, that has dominion over the Djinn, or as we said when we learned that Solomon had dominion over the Djinn, and we knew that Solomon, soul of man, soul Oman, which is son of man or man of the sun, we're talking about again the pineal or the first eye. This is how you gain dominion over the darker aspects of you, or even the evil eye, or the eye which only sees the god of materials reality, which is the satanic reality. Okay, so now we're going back to our Alladin and our Genie story. Now we know that the Genie came out and the Genie was blue. When we look at that color blue, which is really important, we realize that blue in here, it represents the color of enlightenment. But when you look at your Hindu deities, for instance, we look at Krishna, we see that Krishna was blue, and Krishna always had a peacock feather. Now, the peacock is, of course, we know is a bird, but if we look at it in the sense of that feather, it always looks like what appears to be an eye. The peacock is very significant. Now, we know in our Orisha tradition, the peacock is sacred to Oshun. The peacock is sacred to Oshun. Okay, again, this is a bird that's always, and this feather is always worn in the head. And we have to now figure out, well, what does that peacock represent? So we're dealing again, we're going to go back to the Alladin story. Now, if you notice in a lot of the artwork with Alladin, or even with the Djinn or the Genie that comes from this lamp, we have a peacock feather in the head, the headdress, right? So, or sometimes you'll see the peacock in the belt as well. So again, now when we're dealing with this Alladin and this Genie or this Djinn story, we're dealing with one who had to polish or rub the lamp in order for the blue Genie to come forth. Now, what I told you in the last show, that Genie is also, or Djinn is where we get the word Jinn. So the Genie represents the blue Djinn, or the enlightened Djinn. You can do a search for the term blue Djinn, and you're going to find that IBM has a supercomputer that they're working on called the blue Djinn. Real important. And it's as important as the movie The Terminator. It's as important as the movie The Matrix. It's as important as the movie Artificial Intelligence. It's as important as the movie 9. Okay, so that's clues for you. When I say that those movies are important, it will explain to you what this blue Djinn is about, or this blue Djinn project that IBM has taken on. What's important, again, when we look at the word Alladin or the name Alladin, you know, we don't confuse Allad or Allad with the term Allah. It's two different things, because Allah is actually Ilah, like with an I. So Allah, coming from Alladin, means nobility, or the noble one, and Deen means faith. So Alladin means nobility of faith. Now you'll look it up and you may see nobility of religion. Again, you know, religion is a used term, but religion, when it comes to Deen, is kind of like the definition of the lazy scholar, you know. But it's really, you're dealing with faith, and it even goes deeper than faith, because it also deals with sun aspects. Because in Arabic you have certain words that are sun letters. Arabic deals a lot with sun veneration, we'll say that. That's why you have Sunni Islam or Sunni Muslims. Okay, it's that sun aspect. So again, with Alladin, we're talking about nobility of faith. Well, blue represents nobility. When you watch the movie Thief of Baghdad, the 1961 version, there's a scene where you'll see that in order for them to certain groups of men, they want to complete a certain task, they all have to come to the palace dressed in blue in order to go through the 7 gates to retrieve what's called the blue rose. Okay, and this blue rose, they're going to bring it back to the princess, and whoever gives the princess the blue rose, it will not only heal her, but it will also it will cause her to fall in love with whoever gives her the true blue rose. So again, we see this blue color, this blue concept is prominent. When we're dealing with the blue, one of the reasons we also know represents royalty, because that's where we get the term blue blood from. Blue blood was meant to say that someone is of pure blood, to say that they're a blue blood this or blue blood that. Now, spiritually, within your pineal or your first eye, that lamp, you have what we know to be blue blood, which is your spiritual royalty, your spiritual purity. That's why when you rub on that lamp, what comes out is a blue Djinn or a blue Genie or a blue Djinn, because that blue Djinn represents the purity of who you are, but it's the purity of your ego. Why? How do we know that? Because when the Djinn comes out, it asks you what wishes you want, right? And of course, your wishes are immediately for something that live and dwell within the earthly plane. If you notice, this is very similar to the story in Matthew of the devil tempting Jesus when the spirit led him into the wilderness. Notice the spirit led Jesus into the wilderness, not that Jesus wandered or Jesus went himself. So this was orchestrated. The spirit leads Jesus into the wilderness, and then he is tempted of the devil 3 times. Okay. He tempted him. He said, hey, if you're hungry, turn the stones into bread. If you are the beloved of God the Father, throw yourself on the stones, have his angels come and get you. He said, I'll give you all of these things in the world if you serve me. So, he tempts him with the pride of self, vanity. He tempts him, with materialism. And of course, he turned him down 3 times, and then Satan departs from him. Not Satan, I'm sorry. The devil departs from him, because we're talking about 2 different entities here. So this is the same thing when we get into this genie story. The genie comes, or the Djinn comes, and when you polish that third eye or that first eye, you now have the option to use your new ability to acquire material wealth, or you can use that new ability to connect yourself with Ilah or Allah or your higher self. Now, you'll find in all the stories dealing with Alladin, even the cartoon version, but even the Thief of Baghdad, there's a point where Alladin says, you know what? I don't want anything from the Djinn or from the genie. I'm going to actually release the genie from its cage of the lamp. And at that moment, Alladin actually receives everything that Alladin wants and desires, or needs and desires. Let's say this, because at that moment, Alladin has released his ego and says, you know what? I don't need anything. All I need is my spirituality and my nobility, my spiritual nobility. So you'll find with all of the genie stories, they all end the same, all of them. And I've watched quite a few of them. They all end with the person saying, you know what? I don't need this lamp anymore. And saying something like, I wish I never met you, or I wish that you be free, or they throw the lamp away. Again, that represents throwing away the ego. So now let's get back into the peacock piece, because the peacock is key here. Again, you'll find with a lot of tradition, in Hindu tradition, you'll see over the head, you'll see a peacock, or you'll see the cobra, or you'll see the hydra. Remember, the hydra is that sea monster with many heads, but it's a serpentine creature. Now, the peacock, you can assimilate that also with our phoenix. All right. Now, for those of you who are into your cartoons or even your movies, I'm going to tell you to watch X-Men. I don't know how many movies came out on X-Men, because I'm not a big cartoon person, but just watch all the X-Men. I think there was 3 of them. The important character here you want to focus on is Jean Grey. Jean Grey, otherwise known as the Phoenix, when she comes into her power. When she comes into her power, she becomes the Phoenix. Now, pay close attention to who Jean Grey is in love with. She's in love with the character known as Cyclops. Now, I told you in a previous show, don't remember which one, but whenever you see a Cyclops in mythology, they're talking about the first eye or the pineal. So Jean Grey, and notice you got the word Jean here. So we have Jean again. And even within this, we have that blue creature known as the Beast. Okay, he's the genius of the X-Men. He's the smartest one. Again, genius, genius, right? Genie. Aspects of Jean Grey, the aspects of the Phoenix really deal with awakening that blue gene and releasing it back into the soul and becoming completely empowered. You'll find, again, a similar story with Oshun. If you go back and listen to the Oshun broadcast, I told you about when Oshun flies into the sun and she becomes the vulture, but she's a peacock. Now, peacocks don't actually fly. So now if we have a story that's talking about Oshun as a peacock flying into the sun, then what kind of flight are we talking about? Are we even talking about a physical bird lifting off the ground, or is it an allegory, is it metaphysical to the peacock energy itself, or the symbol of what the peacock is opening itself up to go into the sun of itself, which is its pineal? So Oshun goes into the pineal and speaks to Elodumare and is able to save humanity. Okay, this is the same thing as Jean Grey or the Phoenix opening itself up to become the fullness of what it is, or Alladin rubbing on the lamp or the torch and inflaming it, and out comes this shape-shifting blue gene or blue genie, which is, again, you at your highest self, but you make the decision to say, okay, am I going to use my higher self for earthly means, or am I going to use my higher self to truly evolve and connect back with that sun energy, which is the source of the gene? As I told you, the genies were created through fire, through smokeless fire, which is plasma. Now, when we also look at the twisting shape of the plasma, it also gives us reason as to why whenever the genies come out of the lamp, you'll notice at the bottom of them, it's like in a twisty twirl. This also represents Kundalini, because this is a serpentine shape. So this serpentine fire comes out of the lamp, and the lamp usually is almost kind of like egg shaped as well, with the little spout. All of this is significant. It comes out and it grants the wish. So what we're talking about in this story, of course, is the polishing and the refining of the pineal organ. The reason that we don't really call it gland is because a gland secretes something, whereas an organ is active. People who do not have active pineals, their pineals typically shut down or atrophy, which is rust, they calcify by the age of 12. People who have active pineals, we can classify them as having pineal organs, because it's an active part of the body. It's not just a gland that's secreting a small amount of a liquid. So how do we activate this pineal organ and keep it active? Well, one of the things that shuts down your pineal is processed foods. Starches, processed starches, and sugar, they actually shut down your pineal. I also informed you that pork coats the pineal. Fluorescent lights are dangerous to the pineal. That's why, like in the Dogon tribe, babies are kept in the dark for 90 days after they're born, when they're first born, so that they can slowly acclimate to light. And what's interesting is that the Dogon, obviously being those who charted the stars, which is again related to this, because Sirius B, also known as the blue star of Shiva, is something that the Dogon were able to see with the naked eye, because their eyes were so tuned that they could actually see these great distances. And it's actually in an ancient prophecy where it says, when the blue star Kachina makes its appearance in the heavens, the fifth world will emerge. This will be the day of purification. It will come when the Sakoshana Kashina, which is the Sakwasoha, I know I said that wrong, Sakwasoha, the blue star Kashina, dances in the plaza and removes his mask. Interesting, right? Because when you have the genie coming out of the lamp, it's a twisting and a swirling, and it's an unmasking of what's inside of that lamp. But really what you're doing is you're unmasking yourself. Now, remember I told you earlier that that lamp is associated with meteors. Well, what's interesting about that is that meteors in ancient Arabic, as well as even in Kemetic culture, meteors were said to be darts that the angels of Ilah were throwing at the evil Jinn. So meteors were considered to be weapons that were being thrown at the Jinn to subdue them. Well, a lamp is also an original etymology was another word for a meteor. So your pineal is another word for a meteor. Again, that name, Luke, which in the Greek was actually Lukos. What's interesting about that is that that term means of sun or of the sunlight, S-U-N, I'm speaking of. So we constantly have this reference to the sun. Now we know that Helios Biblios, which is the original name for the Holy Bible, Holy is Helios, Bible is Biblios, it actually means the little sun book. That's what the term Holy Bible means, the little sun book. What is the little sun? We should know by now. Obviously, it's the first eye. It's the pineal. Now, we spoke about some of the things that, of course, shut the pineal down, being processed food, starch, even certain sound frequencies are known to program and affect DNA's ability to evolve itself. Certain sound frequencies. I can tell you right now, MP3 files are actually harmful to the pineal. MP3. Now, most of us, when we listen right now, this broadcast, for those of you who listen to the archive, you're listening to an MP3 file. Most of us have MP3 players or iPods and, and so forth and so on. Most music is delivered in MP3 format. This is actually harmful not only to your listening palette because there's a large amount of frequency that's cut out, but it's actually not healthy to your pineal. What's best is to listen to your music from analog sources. So when possible, when you really want to get into any type of pineal programming, pull out your vinyl or at least CD, which is 16-bit 44 kilohertz. Now you can go higher than that in terms of quality, but you're better off either with a vinyl record or even a tape. These are better mediums to use than actually listening to MP3 files. Now, if you can listen to WAV files or AIF files, which are files in their RAW format, that's much healthier as well. WAV would be a .wav extension, and the AIF is .aif. AIFs are mainly used on Macintosh platforms, whereas WAVs are they're uncompressed music formats that are mainly used on the Windows format. So listening to those formats, or again a vinyl record in the dark, classical music is excellent for this because it was actually made, that term that the Moors came up with, music soothes the savage beast. The savage beast that they were soothing was the European culture that they encountered when they were dealing with the Europeans. So they came up with this form of music that we know to be as classical music, but it was music to program the chakras. And so you can always use classical music in a pitch dark room to form and feed your pineal. Another thing that you can do is yoga. There are certain yoga positions that are perfect for feeding and fueling the pineal. I'm gonna give you one real easy that anyone can do, and you see a lot of children do it. I know I used to always do it as a child. I used to watch TV like this all the time, where you would go to the edge of the sofa and you would put your back on the floor and put your legs up on the sofa where you're supposed to be sitting. So in essence, you're watching TV upside down. I used to do that pretty much every day after school. I used to always love to stand on my head as well against the wall or, by myself, but I would do a lot of headstands. And then eventually when I got into calisthenics heavy, I used to do headstand push-ups. I just was like addicted to them. Well, these actually happen to be exercises that feed the pineal. So one of the things that you could do is you can go against a vertical wall and you can just put your behind, flat against the wall, and you're going to lay on your back. So you're going to have your back on the floor, and you're going to put your leg straight up on the wall. To enhance this, you can put an amethyst crystal on your brow chakra or on your first eye. So, and of course, to cleanse your crystal first, you know, always do that. And as I specified in Grasping the Root of Divine Power, my book. But you want to, you can cleanse it with salt water, or what's really good for this cleanse is to let it sit in the sun for 3 days. So it's going to, obviously it's going to soak up sunlight, but it's also going to soak up moonlight. But you cleanse it with sunlight, and then use that on your brow chakra, and you can go into that same position. Now, there's other yoga positions that you can use. Some are harder than others. The lotus is also an excellent one. But, you know, not everyone is able to get in those positions, and that's fine if you can. But like I said, the one against the wall is pretty much easy, and everyone, well, most people can do that position. But even if you're unable to do that for any reason, you can also just lay flat, you know, on the floor or in the bed, and put that crystal on. And then what you're going to do as you're going to meditate and you're going to visualize, you're going to take 5 deep breaths. And every time you draw in, you're going to draw in once, you know, and then you're going to hold it for about 3 seconds, then release. Hold it for 3 seconds, release, hold it for 3 seconds, release. Then what you're going to do, you're going to take a real deep breath in, and then you're going to breathe out, but you're going to mouth the word toe. So you're gonna breathe in, and you're gonna come out toe. Now when you do it, you're gonna feel a vibration throughout your entire head. And it's gonna be a range of tones. Like you can either go toe, 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 either tone you want, either one. You're gonna know when you've hit the right one, because you're gonna feel like a sensation in your first eye. Again, this is good to do with the amethyst on your head, okay, on your brow. So when you do that 5 times again, and that's it. You're going to do that for 3 days straight. Toe, okay? Now you're going to start experiencing some things. Now, if you start feeling like a little lightheaded or headaches, a lot of people, when I give them this exercise to do, they start feeling like a throbbing on their head all the time. Or I had a couple people, they found that their forehead was itching. They kept feeling like this itch. What that is just your first eye. It's coming. You're polishing that lamp, and the genie is coming out. That's all. So, you know, again, usually when the genie comes out, you find, and again, most of the literature or the shows or whatever, the person initially is scared, and they run and they say, no, master, I'm here to serve you. It's the same deal. And this is also how you need to be regarding the Orisha energies. When they come out to serve, you don't have to run. You don't have to be scared. They're coming to serve, not to scare you or to kill you. You know, so that whole fear and gloom that's pushed with the whole Orisha lifestyle, and you know, if you give this one the wrong offering, they're gonna chop your head off, and if you put this one on a shrine with another one, no, it doesn't work that way. Again, just like with the Djinn, they serve you, and they're inside of you. You're essentially polishing your own lamp. Even when you're doing Orisha rituals, you're polishing different parts, whether it be a chakra center or different aspects of your soul. You're rubbing and polishing, especially the parts that are tarnished. And when you do that, there's going to be a gene that's going to come forth. That gene is you. Now, your first eye happens to bring forth that blue gene, or that blue genius, or that enlightened gene, or that enlightened genius. Okay, it's that Shiva energy. You need to do some research on Shiva, and I want you to do research on Rudra. Shiva and Rudra. Okay, a perfect song you can listen to also when you're doing the chakra meditation is a song that I put out called The Soul Invocation. Find that song, The Soul Invocation. It's on Amazon.com. If you just do a search for Soul Invocation, and you can get a copy of that and listen to that song in the dark. The way I did that song is I'm invoking different deities that deal with that first eye awareness. It's a very powerful song. Listen to it in pitch darkness with the amethyst on your forehead, if possible. Okay? So, again, now when we're dealing with our first eye, one of the things that you want to always stay away from is fluoride. Fluoride is death to the first eye. And keep in mind that your first eye emits an electric signal. Okay, it emits an electric signal. So anything that would jam an electric signal is going to jam your first eye awareness. Cell phones, alarm clocks, cell phone towers, power lines, anything that emits gamma rays, which is a cell phone or even a microwave, or when you find yourself caught in electromagnetic crossfire, okay, which a lot of times we have in our house because we have coinciding lines that are running crisscross. Whenever you have that, it creates an electromagnetic field every time when you have wires that cross each other like a cross, okay? So too much cell phone usage disrupts the energy that your first eye is sending out, your pineal. Now, for my conspiracy theorists out there, is this done purposely? I would say so, but you be the judge of that. Because remember, when your first eye is activated, you become self-possessed and self-governed. And in certain societies, the worst type of citizen is an informed, self-managed citizen, or one who no longer desires to be a citizen / slave, because they mean the same thing, and decides to say, okay, I'm a sovereign, free person. So that now deals with a different energy. But spiritually, to become that sovereign, free person, you have to deal with that first eye awakening. And you do that through various mantras. Again, chanting that toe is important. What you're going to do after that chant, I want you to wait for about 2 strongs or 2 weeks. All right? I use the term strong, so if you hear me say that, I'm speaking about what some call weeks. So you're going to wait for about 2 strongs, right? And then you're going to do another chant. Now this time you're going to focus. You're going to take 5 deep breaths again. Hold them for 3 seconds. Release. Hold. Breathe in. Release. Breathe. You're going to do that. And what that does is that relaxes you and that prepares you. Now, when you're doing this time, I want you to focus on you're going to breathe in deeply. You're going to take your tongue. You're going to just part your teeth a little bit and put your tongue in between. So that way, when you breathe in, you're going to hold your breath that way. Close your mouth, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to focus first on your Ori Iwaju. Then you're going to focus on your Ori Atari. And then your Ori Ipako. And then you're going to breathe out saying May. Okay? So you're going to breathe out saying May. And again, with this one, I want you to go kind of nasally. And you're going to find the tone is going to change. So you might start with May. Now you see how I changed? I changed it to a tone that I felt was vibrating my pineal. But as I'm doing this, I'm closing my eyes and I'm going to do it 4 times. Focusing again on the Ori Iwaju, Ori Atari, and the Ori Ipako. Now you'll know what those are because they're in Grasping the Root of Divine Power. All right? So you're going to focus. So read about each one. So when you're focused on it, you know what to visualize. All right? You're going to do that 4 times. And what you can do this exercise once a month. Any more than once a month is, I don't talk about the doom and gloom, but you may experience some side effects just in terms of kind of being real lightheaded and having some very vivid daydreams. Okay, so I suggest you do it once a month for starters. And again, you want to use that amethyst. Before you start, you want to drink plenty of good water. I would suggest you drink water that's infused with some type of green powder or chlorophyll, which is even better. If you can drink chlorophyll water and then you do this exercise, you're going to find some very amazing results because again, you're bringing forth that blue gene. There's a lot more again to this whole Alladin story and the lamp and the blue gene and the blue genie. And I know already I'm going to end up doing a part 3, maybe not in our next segment, but we'll follow up on this. For now, I just wanted to give you some techniques and also explain the science of that Alladin, which again is the nobility of the faith. Deen also deals with song, just like when you see the Muslims when they make salat or they pray 5 times a day, what they're actually doing on that deen is they're singing into their heart chakra 5 times a day. I'm going to break that down at some point because that's very important. That's why when you hear the Muslim surahs or the prayers, you notice they're always sung. And that's key. It's a very important thing about that melody, that sound, and that rhythm is programming. Okay, so again, I'm always thankful for you listening in. that was our segment for this Friday. Make sure you check out the classes on udemy.com. That's udemy.com/INU-priesthood1. Okay. Check out orishareligion.com as well as the SaduluHouse.com. All right. You can go to those sites, go to the Facebook page and hit like so you can stay updated on what we're doing. I just scheduled the first the first live class. That will be December 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So students prepare for that. You should see it on the announcement board, and we'll be able to do a Q&A session at that time. All right. Everyone take care. It's been beautiful, and keep the lamps polished. Keep them shining. Peace.